What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to continue our 2023 conference standings / conference championship predictions for the 2023 college football season. It's now time to do the Big Ten Conference. Yesterday, I gave you the ACC, and then a couple days ago, I did the SEC Conference and gave you a conference championship predictions, and also in those first two Power 5 conferences. And again, we are doing every single Power 5 team. Again, yesterday I did the ACC, and a couple days ago I did the SEC. Now we're doing the Big Ten today. Tomorrow is the Big 12, and then Friday will be the Pac-12. And again, we're giving you the standings based off of what the predictions look like for each and every single Power 5 team that we predicted ever since we completed these, last week and everything. And we're going to give you the standings of what the standings would look like based on my predictions for the Big Ten Conference. And at the end of this one, we're going to give you a conference championship prediction as well and see who the top two teams are in each division. So, and again, there are divisions in the Big Ten. I kind of expect the Big Ten, to be a lot competitive this year. Last year was a little bit competitive, but I think I can kind of expect it to be a lot more competitive than they were last year. So let's get right into the standings here for the 2023 Big Ten season, and we'll start with the Big Ten East. And we're going to start at the top and work our way to the bottom. At number 1, I got Michigan here, finishing 11-1, 8-1 in the conference. I do have them losing at least one conference game there on the schedule, and that was to Penn State on the road, and that's a very tough place to play. But this Michigan team, I kind of expect them to win the Big Ten, and obviously the favorites to win it all in the Big Ten this year. But I have them winning the Big Ten East here. First to talk about, of course, Michigan. Obviously, is the returning production. This team has a lot of production coming back this year. Both sides of the football, offensively, they should be pretty strong. They should score a lot of points like they did last year. Defensively, we were concerned about that area last year on the defensive side of the football, but Michigan turned out to be good on the defensive side, and you got Michigan this year with a lot of production coming back on that defense. This could be one of the most dangerous teams heading into 2023. So Michigan here, again, they have J.J. McCarthy coming back at quarterback, first full-time season for him. And then you got, of course, Blake Corum coming back. One of the top 10, or actually one of the top running backs from the Big Ten from a year ago coming back. And as long as he stays healthy, Michigan's going to be a dangerous team. And like I said, I have Michigan losing a regular season game to Penn State on the road. I really don't see them going undefeated perhaps, but maybe they will go undefeated for 12-0 perhaps. But I think they win the Big Ten East for the third consecutive year in a row. And I have them finishing 11-1, 8-1 in the conference. Ohio State comes in here at number 2. I might have them finishing 10-2 and 8-1 in the conference. Obviously, that one conference loss comes to Michigan at the end of the regular season. And yes, I do like Michigan in the matchup this year. Once again, I think based off of where the last two matchups have been, Michigan, just has Ohio State's number. Now, Ohio State made the college football playoff last year, but this year, they do have a tougher schedule. They're going to have a new quarterback with Kyle McCord. There's definitely some question marks there, but I think the defense should be really good. I think the wide receiver position, though, is going to be the biggest, thing for Ohio State this year. You got a lot of receivers coming back. You got Marvin Harrison, one of the top wide receivers, coming back this year. Maybe in the country, perhaps, but I think Ohio State, going 10-2. I do have them losing a non-conference game to Notre Dame on the road. I think that's the one non-conference game they lose as well. So I think Ohio State, again, finishes 10-2, 8-1 the conference. Again, that one conference loss coming to Michigan on the road. Penn State at number 3, I had them finishing going 9-3 overall, 6-3 in the conference. Penn State, I think, is going to be a team that is going to be probably the third best team in the Big Ten once again this year. This is a team that, went 11-2 last year, had a chance to go to the Big Ten championship last year, and I think they could be even better this year. But, one thing I'm concerned about for Penn State is the offense. They lost a lot of talent on that side of the football, but they can run the football really offensively. They got some talented running backs coming back this year. Defense, they should be pretty strong on that side of the football, so I kind of expect Penn State to be that, mid-tier team and obviously that dark horse contender in the Big Ten. But you never know about them. I do have them beating Michigan in the regular season, but I don't think it will be quite enough, to beat, Michigan and Ohio State on the schedule because they both have to play them. They do have to play both of them on the schedule. So I think that's why Penn State really has a tough task, to win the Big Ten championship this year. But a lot of the people are giving this team hype. We'll see how they do this year. Number 4 is Michigan State at 8-4 and 5-4 in the conference. I do have a lot of concerns now for this Michigan State team, and, looking back at my prediction, before, Peyton Thorne transferred away, I was very high on this Michigan State team. I'm not really high on them anymore. And, when I did my prediction for them, Peyton Thorne was still at Michigan State. We did not expect him to transfer over to Auburn, this year. And that's a huge loss for Michigan State. They also lose their top running back from last year. So Michigan State's in trouble. But I think they get to a bowl game this year after going 5-7 last year. But there's just a lot of question marks now at the quarterback position. I have them going 8-4 and 5-4 in the conference. Maryland, the same thing here at number 5. I have them going 8-4 and 5-4 in the conference. They're tied here for number 4 here with Michigan State. Because Michigan State wins the head-to-head matchup, so that's why Michigan State is ahead of Maryland. Maryland, though, I think it's going to be a pretty good team this year. I think they're going to be a decent team, kind of like that dark horse contender like they were from last year. I expect the offense to be really good under Talia Tagovailoa at quarterback. This offense looks really good. Defensively is what I'm concerned about for Maryland, but I think they'll be a dark horse contender this year in the Big Ten. I got them here at number 5. Indiana comes in here at number 6, 4-8 overall, 1-8 in the conference. I don't expect Indiana to be all that good this year. They do have a decent amount of production coming back. I think they'll be more competitive than they were last year, but I don't think it will be quite enough to make it to a bowl game. Same thing with the Rutgers. I think they'll be a little bit competitive, but not more as competitive as Indiana will be. Rutgers, though, 4-8, 1-8 in the conference. I do have them at least getting one win in the conference, and their one win comes to Northwestern, at home. So I think Rutgers will go 4-8 this year, and that's the Big Ten East standings. This division, I kind of expect it to be a lot competitive. I mean, it's going to come down to maybe to Michigan and Ohio State for that decides who wins the Big Ten. So I think Michigan and Ohio State are your top 2 teams, but your dark horse contenders will be Penn State, maybe Michigan State perhaps, and Maryland, but I think Penn State and Maryland have the best shot to be dark horse contenders. Like I said, I'm kind of concerned about Michigan State. Let's move on to the Big Ten West, and this is a competitive division every single year. I got Iowa here at number 1, winning the West this year. I have them going 8-4 and 6-3 in the conference. I don't think Iowa's offense is going to be all that good this year, but I know you got Cade McNamara coming in, the transfer from Michigan and everything. Maybe he can help out that passing attack, but the question is, can Iowa run the football? That's going to be the really area where I'm concerned about for Iowa. But I think Iowa is going to be a pretty good team this year. And obviously, defensively, they're going to be pretty strong on that side of the football. So we'll see how Iowa does this year. But they're a team, I think, that wins it all this year in the Big Ten West. It won't be a really easy, trip, though, for them because they do play some tough, games out of the East as well. So we'll see how Iowa does. But, I don't really expect anybody in the Big Ten West to get to 10 wins. Minnesota at number 2, I think they're kind of like that dark horse contender, and maybe that could challenge Iowa for the Big Ten West division spot. I have them going 7-5. I think this is still a decent Minnesota team, and 5-4 in the conference. Same thing with Wisconsin. Luke Fickell coming in as the head coach. How good of this team will be for Luke Fickell's first year? I think it's going to be a pretty good year for Wisconsin. I think they make it to a bowl game somehow, but they're also tied here for number 2 spot here. But I have Minnesota win the head-to-head matchup. That's a game that can go either way, but I think Minnesota will win that matchup there. That's the reason why Minnesota is ahead of Wisconsin. But I think a lot of people are giving Wisconsin, the win here in the Big Ten West. But, with a first-year head coach in Luke Fickell, I think it's going to take some time. I'm not really that high on Wisconsin. I am high on them, but I'm not really that high on the Badgers. So Wisconsin here at number 3. Nebraska at number 4. I have them going 7-5 and 4-5 in conference. So there was actually a 3-way tie here for the number 4 spot. But Nebraska, I have them beating Purdue and Illinois in the head-to-head matchups. And I think Nebraska is going to be able to get to a bowl game this year. I think this will be a different Nebraska team that we, definitely did not see during the Scott Frost era. I think this is going to be a brand new program, and they are, not going to head in the right direction in their first year, but I think, maybe in 2 to 3 years, Nebraska will finally head in the right direction. But I kind of expect Nebraska to make it to a bowl game this year. They do have a tough non-conference schedule because they do got Colorado on the road, in the early month of September. So Nebraska does have a tough game there, but I think Nebraska's schedule really sets up nicely for them to have a really good season. Purdue comes in here at number 5. I kind of expect Purdue to still make it to a bowl game, even without Jeff Brom over there as the head coach. This is a team I'm picking to go 6-6 and 4-5 in the conference. I don't expect them to be all that terrible this year. I think, it's going to take some time for Purdue to get back to where they used to be in the Big Ten West. Last year they won it all in the Big Ten West, but this year I'm moving them down to all the way to number 5. And the reason why I had Purdue ahead of Illinois and tied for number 5 here is because I have them winning against Illinois. Illinois is kind of the same thing here with Purdue. They're not in a new rebuild, but I just think Illinois is going to take a step back year. I think this is definitely, though, a dark horse contender in the Big Ten West. But I think everybody is almost a dark horse contender in the Big Ten West because this division is so wide open every single year. Illinois, though, I think they go 6-6, 4-5 in the conference. Same thing with Purdue. At 6-6 and 4-5 in the conference. And then I have Northwestern here as the worst team here in the Big Ten this year. Of course, the firing of Pat Fitzgerald kind of hurts them. We don't know what the status of Northwestern is going to look like, but maybe they change things up and maybe they can turn out to be a good team. But I think this team goes 3-9 this year, 1-8 in the conference. Really hard to tell where this program is going to be heading in the direction after Pat Fitzgerald's firing. But looking at the Big Ten West standings, this division is going to be wide open. Like I said, I think Iowa wins it all this year, but the dark horse contenders are definitely, Wisconsin, Nebraska. I mean, anybody is a dark horse contender here in the Big Ten West because this division is so competitive every single year. They're not like the top teams in the Big Ten East. I mean, the Big Ten East is not really competitive, but the Big Ten West is definitely competitive. So we'll see how this division goes this year. But let's get right to the Big Ten championship game. And it's Michigan versus Iowa, a rematch from a couple years ago in the 2021 Big Ten championship game. Michigan dominated that game, from the start of that one a couple years ago, and that kind of told us that Michigan was definitely a team that is going to be really good in the upcoming years. They've won back-to-back Big Ten championships, one from last year, one from a couple years ago. I kind of expect Iowa to keep, Michigan a little bit low on the scoreboard because their defense is obviously really good. This game could be a defensive battle. I think it could go either way, but, Michigan, they're the more talented team, the more experienced team, and this is interesting with a storyline here. Cade McNamara taking on his former team here. How excited would that be? How really excited would that be and emotional that would be if Cade McNamara takes on his former team in Michigan. So Michigan, I think, is the more experienced team here. I think they win this one here, and I think Michigan wins back-to-back Big Ten championships this year and obviously wins it for the 3rd consecutive year in a row. So I think Michigan wins it all. I meant to mention that they've won, 2 years in a row. They've won back-to-back and also looking for a three-peat in the Big Ten. So I think they win the Big Ten championship for the 3rd consecutive year. And I think with just one loss on the schedule, going 12-1 overall, I think that gives them a spot into the college football playoff. Maybe as a number 2 seed or number 3 seed, we'll find out what the playoff would look like when I do my predictions and everything. So that's my Big Ten standings / conference championship predictions for the 2023 college football season for the Big Ten Conference. And give me your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think about these conference standings? What do you think about the predictions and obviously this conference championship game prediction? Let me know down in the comments below, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.